Ooh, it's spooky in here. It's completely dark and it's 8:21 p.m. It is March 25th. Let me just double check. It is indeed Wednesday. I was getting confused. I kept thinking today Tuesday. Like I said, every day is the same for me. So it's easy to lose track of time. So today I wanted to make a video about informing through education. And when I make these videos, and like I said, even though there's times where I raise my voice and I get angry, especially at my perps, who, I do have a lot of resentment, anger, and hatred towards these people. However, the purpose of these videos are not necessarily to continue arguing because that's not the point. There's a lot of people who get involved in things, whether that be office gossip, or just anything, any sort of activity that seems social that a lot of people get involved in, and they don't think about whether it's right, wrong, legal, moral, whatever. And so oftentimes when you like, for example, in the workplace, maybe a business owner or someone from human resources, because a person might be related to that person, whether that be a mother, a spouse, an ex-spouse, or the in-laws of someone. They think that they confuse the home issue with the work issue, or combine the two, or feel as though they should somehow interconnect and mingle, but they really shouldn't. And so when I say question authority, it is not in any way trying to be defiant. It's basically the best way of, I guess, being diplomatic. Like, if a person gets upset because you question their intentions, or I guess um, whether it's moral or not, or whether what they're doing is against the law or whatever. If you're asking or questioning somebody's motive or something, that is not necessarily. I don't think in any way, shape, or form it's something. It's not should not offend that person. Now, it would offend a person if they are extremely narcissistic, or that, just one of those people. And I've seen this sort of attitude played out many times, like in several places. But as someone who is going to represent a company, the reason why you have these representatives, these people who claim to be educated, like, for example, in business administration, they're heads of, like, they're like business managers, business, what do you call it, directors, people who are like a company figurehead of some sort. And, they're filling out forms to hire people and this sort of stuff. And they have all this information, and they do have training, but they're not really connecting the dots, like I mentioned yesterday in my other video and a few other of my videos about how, certain situations get played out in the workplace. For example, sexual harassment is something that gets played out a lot. Okay. And like, I mentioned one time before, I had a boss who, he briefly mentioned, and I'm not going to say who it is because it's not really relevant, but he had mentioned one time he had an issue, that I guess he went to court or something over a sexual harassment issue. Now, in his mind, he probably thought that he did not sexually harass someone, because when people think of sexual harassment, they think of somebody who is maybe backing a woman into a corner, trying to undress her, maybe getting physical with her, or something in that nature. When that's not necessarily the case, there are several different examples that they'll give you in seminars, in publications, things that are posted on the wall as to what sexual harassment is. And it can be anything. It could be, like, I know, and I'm not being unrealistic. I mean, I understand certain inappropriate things come out in the workplace. Maybe somebody might use, a form of profanity in front of somebody else. Okay. Oh, like something that's vulgar. Okay. It slips out in a lot of people. So, but if a person says, what, some people are offended by it. They get offended by it. So if they say, what, I would prefer you not use profanity in front of me. So then in that case, it's your responsibility to not do something that's going to continue to offend a person. That would be considered harassment if you can just continually did that. Or, sometimes guys, or in women, sometimes they got this little secret joke or this little thing that kind of, this little inner joke that they got going around. Sometimes they send things through email, might be something that's a little bit risque or whatever. This too can be considered sexual harassment if somebody does not want to see it. Now, I will say I've seen these things. People have sent them to me in the past when I was younger, and to me, it's just like, I open them and I'm just like, oh, okay. Like there was this one. There was this one. It wasn't really sexual, but I guess it was. It was like this dude who had this like plastic panty fetish or something, and I thought it was hilarious. I really did, but I didn't forward it, okay? Because if you forward these sort of things, then you're kind of an active participant in it, right? But I don't remember who sent it to me, but it was this guy who was putting on plastic panties, and then all of a sudden, he had this like explosive diarrhea or whatever, and he seemed like really happy with himself, and I was so shocked at it. But anyway, that's beside the point. It was disgusting, right? But anyway, my point is that some people do these things, okay? And that's not necessarily going to make it so that they're going to be terminated from the company if they have it. It depends on, some people have no tolerance policies or whatever, and some people, it's not that you're being prudish or something, but some people just rather not see it. And if they don't want to see it and they don't want those things forwarded to them, then by continually forwarding to them these messages or whatever, and they don't want it, that would be considered sexual harassment. There was a girl who used to talk about her sex life at work, okay? And a lot of people thought she was rather disgusting. Now, I'm sure if she was like somebody that was like, had like movie star looks or something, people wouldn't have thought that. But they would start cringing the minute she started talking about the details. They were like, oh God. And people were getting together after she would leave and they would talk about it like, man, that's disgusting. I wish she would be quiet about it or whatever. And so this one lady said, you know what, this is sexual harassment. I thought it was sexual harassment too, because she was, saying things to people that wasn't welcomed. You know what I mean? Or, maybe managers might incite some sort of harassment, or what do you call it? Work up some sort of frenzy against a particular person. Like, maybe a girl might come into work one day who normally wears pants, okay? So one day she decides to wear a skirt just because it was in her wardrobe. Maybe all her pants were dirty and she decides to wear a skirt one day. Nothing, sexually revealing, it's like the regular length or whatever. But because she looks a little different, you get these people whistling and acting stupid, right? And she gets blushy or whatever, and so her manager comes in and starts saying, oh, you look at you, you're trying to be this and blah, blah, blah. And everybody starts jumping in on it, and everybody starts harassing her. That's sexual harassment. That is sexual harassment, okay? So people have it in their mind that it's just one thing, and the same thing about racial harassment. Some people think, oh, well, I'm not, burning a cross on her lawn. I'm not doing this, but there are certain things that people do in the workplace that is extremely offensive. Like, for example, I remember this one girl kept referring to this Mexican girl as bean. I don't know why she kept doing it like pinto bean or refried bean, whatever. And the girl was really upset about it. I mean, she would get upset and she would talk to the manager about it, and the manager just kind of blew it off, okay? But this person who was doing it was causing her, a hostile environment. And when people get confronted with their stupid slip-ups, okay, their irresponsible slip-ups of doing things that are, offensive to other people, when they get upset about it because they get called out on it, they oftentimes get offended, right? But the only time people will get offended, or the only way a person would be offended, is if these people truly aren't remorseful for what they've done. And that you deal with that a lot. There's a lot of narcissism in the workplace. So when I was talking about my situation, which, I'm not the kind of person that wants to throw my business out in the street, okay? I'm not the kind of person. But I did make these videos, okay? And I'm very glad that I did. I'm glad that I made these videos because a lot of people who get involved in this, they just kind of turn a blind eye and think, well, this is a family issue or whatever, or I'm just going to do it because I'm friends with this particular family and therefore I'm going to comply with what these people are doing, when really in actuality you basically put yourself open to a lawsuit. You know what I mean? You're opening yourself up, and I would say that I have justification and reason to pursue legal action. Of course, these people do all kinds of crap behind the scenes and is wrong, but I'm just saying is that I think informing people and giving examples. This is a great example of like the religious issue, the racial issue, the sexual harassment, everything. I mean, like I'm one of those protected classes. I'm a great example of a protected class. You know, if you're going to have a protected class example in a book or manual or something, Maria Gordon's picture should be there, okay? Because, you know, I'm a woman, I'm over the age of 40, I'm a black woman, you know, I don't, you know, identify with a, what do you call it, a church or religious denomination that is a formal setup, like going to an actual church, okay? Yes, I do believe in God, but I don't go to church, okay? And so all of these little things that people get upset and angry and they want to like debate about, I'm one of those people, not on purpose, mind you, but just because this is just how it is. Okay. So anyway, today was just one of those days, you know, I didn't really do a whole lot. I will say that my brain was still kind of scrambled. You know, I woke up this morning, I'm like, you know, I'm so tired of being in this situation. I'm absolutely tired of it. Oh, and also an issue that needed to be brought out about informing through education is the whole issue of the forced marriage thing, okay? Like some people think, well, you can't just ignore, you know, somebody's legal divorce, okay? And really, you know, marital status is something that's supposed to be taken in consideration when you are hiring people. You know, their marital status should not make a difference. I understand, you know, things are a lot easier when maybe a person's married to another person and they get job openings because they have this, what do you call it, like this network of people who can actually arrange things for them or whatever. I fully understand that, okay? But when you are basically trying to force a person to go back into a conjugal situation that that I consider to be abusive, or any sort, even if it was the most loving relationship in the world, that is not something that other people should be involving themselves in. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that go on that people do that are unethical, and you, as an innocent bystander or somebody who kind of assist in that, you should question why you're involved with that. Okay, I'm just saying. Anyway, so yeah, so back to today. Today was one of those days, you know, it was really dreary. And, you know, I kept thinking I should go to the park, and I looked outside and it was gray outside. I'm like, gosh, you know, this isn't good. You know, this really isn't good. And so, you know, of course I looked for work and I did, you know, what I could, but there's still a lot of things going through my mind. Just so many things going through my mind because, you know, I'm dealing with the issue. This is a huge issue for me that I don't feel comfortable being in this situation. And, you know, I am angry. I mean, I have absolutely, I mean, I have so much intense anger for, you know, my ex-blood relatives for their foolishness. But it does define, you know, I would say my ex-family helped me define what I didn't want in life. Even when I was young enough to understand or not really understand who these people were. There were certain things that my family did that I kept thinking, you know what, they're either ignorant or what they're doing is silly or whatever. Just wasn't for me. As an adult, it's like, you know, I now see these people for what they are and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I don't respect what they did. And, you know, I don't want to have like a constant ongoing battle with these people, but I'm just saying it's just like, you know, these people really are a disappointment. I'm very disappointed in their behavior. Shocked at first, but now I'm just like, man, you know, seriously. As for Joel's family, you know, I just, that to me is so weird that these people would cling on to me in the manner that they did, especially when I made it very clear. It's like, that's terrifying. It really is. It's terrifying. It's just disturbing all the way around. So anyway, yeah, it's about informing people. And yeah, I do go on rants when I make videos because it is extremely, when you think about all the crap that's happened throughout the years and figuring out what exactly went wrong and their motives and the forceful behavior and the psychological abuse of it all. It's just, you know, I look at these people as like enemies. They're enemies, okay? Not active enemies. I'm not going to do anything to them. It's just people that I don't want to associate it, which is understandable. So anyway, I'm trying to ignore issues about the coronavirus as much as I possibly can. I mean, I know it's out there. I'm tired of it being crammed down my throat. You know, I understand the significance and the warnings and everything like that, and I'm well aware of it. It's just something that I understand that we have to protect ourselves, you know, and social distancing is not an issue with me, at least right now, because I'm sitting here in isolation anyway. But you know, it's kind of a dark feeling, you know, knowing that this weird thing, a pandemic, is going on, you know, and all these countries are affected, and it makes you think, man, where in the world can you be safe? You know, maybe dig a ditch underground, live under there for a while. I don't know, but there's just so much that goes through my mind when I think about this whole thing. And you know, I don't feel comfortable being in a situation like that during this pandemic, you know, because you know, I'm already worried about, you know, the job issue, work issues, and you know, I'm just let's just let this, let me just say this, just let this issue be a lesson to you, for the people who watch my videos, whether they be targeted individuals or people who aren't targeted individuals, people who just follow this story as it happened. They know exactly how it started and everything. Just let this be a lesson to you about, you know, the things that you do, the problems that people can cause for other people, why you shouldn't allow gossip or slander campaigns to continue on. Being careful about, you know, mixing work with family issues, and not judging other people, okay, because this is the sort of stuff that really causes a lot of problems. And you know, so yeah, this is a lesson, but it's a deep lesson, really. I'm, like I said, I personally think this shit should be studied in, like, you know, social circles, like where people talk about social issues, because this is a huge issue. To me, it is a huge issue. It's like you got these families that are, you know, practicing human trafficking for everyone to see. They claim to be religious and all this other weird stuff, and it's like, wow, you know, it's something to really talk and think about, you know, if you're so inclined. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video. I hope everyone has a great evening, and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye bye.